Hey guys, Ron from FunctionBuilt-Aquatics, and tonight is water change night. Well, it's not a specific night, but this Friday night is water change night for me. So I've been able to do water changes on my two playroom tanks. This is my kids' playroom, and this is where I keep the South American Paludarium and the neon tetra setup. And on the side right there is the mixed species tank that we're going to get to in a minute. But I don't always get a chance to film this tank, and to be honest with you, lately this tank has really been stepping up. Now, I've been using the Excel on a weekly basis, and let's remove this lid right here. Keep this on top just to keep my pesky tetras from leaping. In this tank, look at that water flow. That's coming from the whole system, actually. But, you know, I never had a chance to explain what I do here. Both these 15-gallon tanks, these are 20-gallon longs with about a quarter of their height missing. These are custom-made tanks. I bought them from a shop that had them made to actually fit their stands, and they went out of business. And I was able to grab these guys for a song and a dance. They were drilled, and I had no problem running a system. But at that time, I had no plan on putting a big system rack together, and I just wanted to try to keep the paludarium and then maybe a piggyback tank, and that's what we did with both these 15-gallon tanks. Now what I'm doing is I'm drawing water from the bottom tank here, which is where I keep the neons. And by the way, these neons have been basically courting and spawning, and the eggs have been getting crushed not only by the neons themselves but by the cory cats that are in here. So now that I have the rack system running, it's going to be time soon to start singling out a pair of these guys too, and see if I can get them to spawn and lay their eggs in spawning mops and java moths. But going back to what I was originally discussing, I draw the water from the bottom tank with my Eheim canister filter, and then I discharge the water to the top tank with the spray bar. And then in the corner of this tank, corner of the top tank I should say, it's drilled. And I have a strainer with some PVC pipe, and that runs down to the bottom tank. I use a gate valve, which I couldn't just use the ball valve, but I had it sitting around, so I used it for this. And I'm able to actually develop actually build a closed loop system, which is not unique. But the unique portion of the system is the fact that it's driven by a canister filter and not a water pump. So the bottom tank is filtered first, and the water's pushed to the top, and then it drains out through the strainer and PVC back down to the bottom tank. And I just did a 10-gallon water change on this. It's about 30 gallons of water, probably a little less than 30 gallons of water. There's a lot of sand in here. And these guys actually respond usually pretty well to water changes. Tetras and black neons and regular neon tetras. Tetras in general like water changes. If you can actually do a big 50% water change, sometimes more, add a little cooler water, you can usually get these guys interested in spawning. Now that's if they're in the proper condition. I kind of feed these guys up, so they're ready to go all the time. They get a lot of blackworms, bloodworms, brine shrimp, high quality paradine, carnivore, and you can also spawn cories the same way. With big water changes, an influx of cool water typically gets them motivated. It's sort of like a seasonal change for them in the Amazon when it's the rainy season, and you get all that cold rainy water running into the low level rivers that eventually expand. But to make a long story short, I expect to see the neon tetras to start showing spawning behavior probably tomorrow. I haven't seen the black neons do it yet, though. I haven't really noticed it. There's 25 black neons in the top tank and about 25 to 30 neons in the bottom tank. So there's a lot of fish in this system. I really pack my tanks. Water changes are a big portion of what I do, and I utilize plants in a manner to help filter a lot of my systems. This large rooted plant right here is new. I have no idea what type of plant it is, but as you can see, it's starting to grow. It's starting to grow right up to the top of the painting. And actually, this is what it will look like once it starts growing its leaves back. I picked it up from a gentleman who was breaking down his fish hatchery, and I bought a bunch of drill tanks, which is why I'm using 20-gallon highs for my systems. And along with the drill tanks I got from him, he gave me these plants that were in his hydroponic system, and I had no place for them. I was kind of hesitant to take them because I didn't want to have them just perish, but I figured, hey, I'll make room. So I took out some of this palm, this Bella palm that's right here. That, it does good, but not as well as this. And if I had my guess, I would say this plant right here is probably exporting a lot more nutrients than this Bella palm. But it's all part of the ecosystem that I try to build. And as you can see, I use clay balls as substrate for these plants. I built this formation out of expandable foam, and I use gutter guard. I use you can see the black gutter guard material. It's actually a fantastic source for biological filtration because it has all these tiny little nooks and crannies. So what I typically do is I'll silicone the gutter guard to the back of the glass, and I'll actually make the formations with the gutter guard, and then I'll cover that with expandable foam. And now this way the expandable foam doesn't lift off the glass. The expandable foam is actually stuck to the gutter guard, and the gutter guard is actually siliconed to the glass itself. If you try to put expandable foam directly on glass, in probably a matter of days, it'll just lift right off the glass. There's nothing for it to stick to. But the gutter guard, since it's so porous, the silicone gets in all little pores, and of course silicone works fantastic on glass. It's probably, it's made to adhere to glass. It's hard to get PVC and acrylic to adhere to silicone, but glass, it's what it's made for. And then what I do is I make the formations out of the expandable foam and the gutter guard, but it also acts as my biological filtration. The clay balls are substrate, and they also are coated with, denitrifying bacteria and different forms of bacteria, which we all need in our systems. The clay balls have some of them on their surface. They're not as probably porous as Cyperex, but they are biological nonetheless. And then the plants root themselves into the clay balls, and then they're able to they're able to extract nutrients out of the water column, which helps maintain my environment. Helps, the canister filter I'm using, the Eheim canister filter, is a really good driving force for mechanical filtration. But my biological filtration comes from the living formation that we build along, and then also backed up by the plants, which help suck up the nitrates. The thing that I've started noticing a lot more is that I had a problem with this moss for a long time. This moss was, given to me from a source, and it wasn't his main focus, so it had cyano on it. But I took it anyhow, knowing that, hey, I probably won't be able to get this much moss from anyone. And if I could just get rid of the cyano, I can actually get this moss to grow well. It took a lot of water changes. It took a few products to actually help get rid of the cyano. And I actually think that the Seachem Excel has made the huge difference. The cyano is now gone. I still do my weekly water change on this setup, but the moss literally took off. Let me see if I can move this light. The moss literally exploded in this tank. I don't really consider this to be a planted tank. I know a lot of people probably be like, are you nuts? It's a planted tank, but to me it's not. I don't go by planted tanks or non-planted tanks. I go by environments, ecosystems. Our name on our channel, FunctionBuilt-Aquatics, the name itself means to me is that the actual formation, the development of the actual tank itself is functional. It's not just there for aesthetics. This is a functioning filter. It's not the driving force, but it's a component to our ecosystems. FunctionBuilt-Aquatics, the name I thought of using the name to basically tell you that what we do is fully functional systems that are actually help each other do their job. And that's where the name FunctionBuilt-Aquatics comes from. Developing systems like this, where this is like a wet-dry filter, an ecosystem inside your aquarium. Now, I gotta tell you, there's probably 60 to 70 fish and roughly 30 gallons of water that you're looking at right here. And I don't have no problems. I very rarely have to clean the glass. And knock on wood, I very rarely have problems with the fish. The fish in these tanks do amazing. Now, if I could just get them out of here and get them to spawn without the eggs getting eaten, I'd be a lot happier. So, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. This is a long video, but I don't get a chance to ramble on about this tank too often. Thank you very much. FunctionBuilt-Aquatics.